It's your man JayGravesReport, and welcome to the College Football Weekly Preview, Week 10, presented by your good neighbor, State Farm agent, Ravi R. Murray, located 3955 Eagle Creek Parkway, Indianapolis, or hit your boy up at 317-297-3804. Y'all know how we get it in, so let's get it in. Previewing the top 5 ball games of the weekend, so let's get right to it. Now, before we preview the top 5 ball games, let's talk about the foolishness that is the College Football Playoff Committee. Now, initial rankings came out on Tuesday. These boys got your boy upset already. Now, y'all know how I do. What's the point in playing ball games and keeping score if the wins and the losses don't count? Now, this is the top 4 when they started off. They had Alabama, number 1, Clemson, number 2, Michigan, number 3, Texas A&M, number 4, and Washington, number 5. Here's my problem. Texas A&M's already lost a ball game. They got one loss. And I know that they lost to Alabama. Problem is, Washington's sitting right behind them, undefeated. And here's my deal. Everybody and their baby's mama hollered and screamed talking about you got to be in a Power 5. We not looking at anybody outside the Power 5. So now, if Washington is in the Power 5, the Pac-12 is a Power 5, they undefeated, then why aren't they sitting ahead of Texas A&M? Now, I can understand once you got a plethora of one-loss teams, then you start peeling back the onions and looking at what a boy's doing and who he lost to. Now, that loss is a better loss, so on and so forth. But when you look at both these schedules that they played, and they both dug, with the exception of Texas A&M playing Alabama and losing, they're no different. But these boys from Washington are undefeated. So I'm going to stop right there because I could go in. You got to go check out my podcast on SoundCloud, and it's also on the JayGravesReport.com under podcast. So go check the joint out. I went nuts and we explained it all to you. But let's talk about this preview of these top 5 games. Now, first ball game, we're going to stay out in the Big Ten. We got Maryland coming in, playing number 3, Michigan Wolverines up at the Big House. Now, the reason I put this game under big ball game is because Maryland comes into this ball game 5-3. Now, this is the same Maryland that's been done since they came into the Big Ten. But they got a brand new coach, DJ Durkin, who used to be the defensive coordinator at Michigan last year, and he was on Jim Harbaugh's staff when he was out in Stanford. So he understands what Jim Harbaugh likes to do. He understands the program, but he's coming in and he rolling. He likes to run the football. They got a cat named Ty Johnson who's averaging 10.7 yards a carry, and Lorenzo Harrison averaging 7.3 yards a carry. So they coming in and they legit this year. But they playing the Michigan Wolverines, bruh. They playing Jim Harbaugh with the cleats on. That dog got the cleats, the booger bag, and the Malcolm X glasses now. So Michigan comes into this ball game. Look, they only hold a one game. They get one game lead over Ohio State and Penn State in the East. But they should be able to handle that with no problem. They should get that with no problem at all. And then also, before last week, they had the number 1 defense in allowing only 207 yards in a game. And these Duns gave up 401 yards to Michigan State. Now, Michigan State, I don't know how in the world they allowed that to happen, but I'm going to give it the pass because it's a rivalry game. Because it's a rivalry game, boys' emotions are all out of whack. So they was playing dub, but they still got the number 1 defense when it comes to total defense, when it comes to scoring and pass defense. So, and that's primarily because you got Duns like, Lewis and Jabril Peppers, etc. So, Michigan ought to win this ball game with no problem. But I'm just trying to understand how in the world does Michigan got another home game? These Duns got 9 home games at the crib. All of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh, he's sticking boogers on boys getting extra home games. And you got 12 games total, and you got 9 of them at the crib. Let's move on to the next ball game. Now, we're going to stay in the Big Ten. We got number 8, Wisconsin. Goes out to Ryan Field to play Northwestern. Now, the reason I put this game in there is because on paper, it looked like Wisconsin, number 8, going to beat the brakes off of Northwestern. Here's the problem, bruh. Northwestern has beaten Wisconsin every year that they played at Northwestern since 1999, bruh. That's Prince walking around with his butt out. Since 1999, they playing 10 ball games. And all the 4 ball games they played at the crib. Wisconsin 6-4 against these boys since 1999. But all 4 ball games they played at Northwestern has won. So you got to keep that in mind. But here's the problem. Wisconsin is battle tested. They've defeated 3 top 10 teams. And then they lost 2 other top 10 ball games by a touchdown apiece to Ohio State and Michigan. They battle tested. So I know what the record says, and I know what the history says, but I got to go with Wisconsin winning this ball game simply because they battle tested. But it's not going to be easy. I can see this ball game going in overtime, bruh. But I'm going with Wisconsin to win this ball game. Let's move on to the next ball game. Now, we got number 11, Florida, goes out to play Arkansas. Now, here's the deal. Arkansas is 5-3. This shouldn't be a issue with Florida coming in 6-1, only lost 1 ball game. But here's the deal. Florida hadn't lost to Arkansas since Arkansas joined the SEC in 1992. Let's move on to the next ball game. Why we even talking about Arkansas? They ain't got a chance to win this doggone ball game. We ain't going to preview it. We ain't going to talk about it. Florida wins this ball game. Now, let's move on to the next ball game. We got number 10, Nebraska, goes out to Ohio Stadium to play number 6, Ohio State. Now, here's the deal. Ohio State comes into this ball game because they went last weekend. They won. They beat Northwestern by 4 points, 24-20 at the crib, though. That's the problem. And they gave up 400 yards at the crib for the first time since 2014. And Northwestern's offense is ranked 93rd in the country. So you give up 400 yards against these boys, and they got one of the worst offenses in America. And you got Nebraska coming in, who's the real deal. Now, they coming off a loss. They lost to Wisconsin on the road in overtime. So that ain't a bad loss. But you got a dual threat quarterback coming in the door, Tommy Armstrong Jr. Now, this done rushes the football for 380 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's already thrown for more than 1,700 yards and 11 touchdowns. Then they got Terrell Newby, who's already put up almost 600 yards on the ground. Nebraska is a threat because Ohio State been dubbed for the past 2 weeks. Remember, they lost to Penn State a couple of weeks ago. And they struggled against Northwestern. I'm seeing Nebraska going in and beating these boys. And now the game at the end of the season won't even be the same as everybody wanted. Everybody wanted to see Ohio State, Michigan show up undefeated. Ohio State going to be dubbed and show up with 2 losses when they play that ball game. Because Nebraska's going to win this one. Let's move on to the next ball. Let's talk about the biggest ball game of the weekend. We got number 1, Alabama, 8-0, going out to play number 13, LSU. Now, LSU was 5-2. Remember the beginning of the season, they fired old Doug Les Miles, that done out there eating grass, ain't paying attention to what's going on, went 2-2, was Doug, they let him go. Then Ed Orgeron took over, and they 3-0 under it. They 5-2 right now, and Leonard Fournette came back a couple of weeks ago, and both these teams are coming off a bye, so both of them got rest. But a couple of weeks ago, Leonard Fournette showed out against Ole Miss, put up 284 yards against these boys. Hey, all I'm saying is he got loose, but last year, Alabama held him to only 31 yards on 19 carries. So that's going to be a problem. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to give you a couple of stats, and then we can call it lovely. Alabama, as much as everybody wants to say this is a huge rivalry game, it really ain't no rivalry, but Alabama is 50, 25, and 5 against these boys. They've won the last 3 out the last 5 ball games they played at Death Valley. Ain't no rivalry, but it's only a rivalry when you're going back and forth. 50, 25, and 5. That ain't no rivalry. Hey, Alabama wins this ball game, and we don't have to talk about it. It's your man, Jay Graves Report, from the JayGravesReport.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter at JayGravesReport so you can holler at your boy. And remember, this segment is always presented by your good neighbor State Farm agent, Ravi R. Murray, located 3955 Eagle Creek Parkway, Indianapolis, or hit your boy up at 317-297-3804 so you can holler at your boy.